there you have it. These are the 6 rules that I wanted to share with you. If you follow these, you can definitely maximize the value of your investments in cloud and in your modern data stack. Now, to learn from another leader, I'd like to invite on stage a visionary who's already been implementing many of these rules in his business. Please join me in welcoming Ansar Kassim.
How are you?
I should have said Dr. Ansar Kassim.
I have to get used to that.
Ansar got his PhD last week, just in time for Beyond.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats. So, Ansar, you've been doing some really transformational work at Verizon.
Yeah.
Tell us, why do companies need to think about data differently in this decade? Why change?
Thinking differently. So, Ajit, many years back, I read this book by a famous author, Robert Kiyosaki, and many of you would have read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's one of the best-selling books. And one of the central concepts he discusses in that book is the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket, and a liability is something that drains money from your pocket. Now, if I look at through the same lens into the world of data, the way I see is that if you and your team, majority of the time, if you're spending in preparing the data, cleaning the data, generating the reports, refreshing dashboards, that's what majority of you are doing, you perhaps don't have an asset in place. That means you're working for data. But if data is working for you, then what you're doing is your majority of your time that you're spending, you're making business decisions, adding value, guiding your business. That's what you're doing. So I think that's how I think firms need to think differently. You really need to take a close look at, is data really an asset for you?
That is really going back to basics, assets and liabilities. Thank you. Tell us how you have implemented some of the rules that I talked about. We all learn from customers like you, actually, and we get to present it here. So thanks for helping us learn how you are approaching it. How have you implemented these rules at Verizon?
Yeah, I was especially listening to your rule number 2. So if you had asked me maybe a couple of years back, we had thousands of reports, hundreds of dashboards, and my team was very busy getting them up and running. And we used to get questions, and the kind of questions that used to get, why is this number on this dashboard different from this number on this report? Why did my report not come today? Why is the report different? And those are the kind of questions. And what's the problem with that? Number 1, our clients were unhappy. Number 2, my employees were not happy. We were dealing with a churn issue. And most importantly, we were not having time to do anything else. So that's where we were, and then we did this massive transformation effort to convert all these hundreds and thousands of reports into this system that is built by this bizarre company of nerds in Silicon Valley. I don't know if you heard of them. They claim to build a platform on search and AI. Yeah, so we converted them into this platform. You heard of them, right? Yeah. So that's what we did. And where we are right now, we have, in this platform, we have more than 10,000 active users using data interactively in this platform.
Wow, did you say 10,000?
10,000. And on a daily basis, it is more than 2,500, because that means the frequency of usage. This 10,000 users on a daily basis is 2,500, more than that. So these users are now curious, and I think it's just a starting point. I do think we have one of the largest analytics systems implementations in the industry, if not in the world. That's where we are right now.
Wow, that is, these are the kinds of things that make it all worth it for everything we do. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, as the leaders here are thinking about the next decade of data, what advice would you have for them? What can they learn from your experience?
So I think we discussed already about one. Take a closer look at your data assets. Is it really an asset, or do we need to do something to make an asset? That's something that I would say. But more importantly, as data leaders, if marketing has a question, you have the answer. If sales has a question, you have the answer. If finance, media, operations, you have the answer. You are the most informed leader in the room. You are the most informed leader in the room. Now, if you are the most informed leader in the room, do you want to be in the business of answering questions? Or do you want to be in the business of asking questions by connecting the dots across the business? That is what your CEO wants you to do. I recently read this article in Forbes.com, the CDO can be the next CEO. And we used to hear about CFOs, the next CEO. I truly, truly believe that. You're saying this is the decade of data. I am telling this is the decade of each and every one of your career. If you take advantage of that, if you seize the moment, if you turn the table, you are going to dominate the decade of data. That's what I would tell. That's my advice.
Wow. That is so good. That's so good to hear. That the CDO can be the next CEO. Thank you, Ansar, for sharing your experience. Thank you. And it is really inspiring for us to hear the kind of impact we are able to have on our customers like Verizon, and how Ansar is truly making self-service possible at real scale in his business.